Well, you might have noticed that it's raining again, and rained like all last week, most of the time anyway. It got nice over the weekend, but it is raining again now. And if you look at the KGW weather app, it's hello darkness, my old friend. There's rain almost every day, okay? It's just that time of year. It's that time of year in Portland where you think to yourself, did I wait too long to store my blue and white patio rug? I mean, it's soaking wet now. Am I ever going to get enough consecutive days to dry this thing out, or is it cursed forever? Inviting several passive-aggressive questions from my wife about my, quote, plan for the rug out back. This seems like a good story for the 112, the 112 people who move to Oregon every single day. Now, we use the 112 segment to explain Oregon stuff to people who move here from other places like Southern California and say things like, dude, what is this wetness falling from the sky? And we are officially tiptoeing into the rainy season. But before we talk about that, maybe we should discuss what you are probably thinking, which is, are there really still 112 people moving to Oregon every single day after what we've all been through? It's not a bad point. I mean, we started the segment pre-pandemic and a lot of things have changed. But Willamette Week published an article back in August and said, according to the Portland State University's Population Research Center, the city saw a steady population increase through 2020. The numbers for 2020-2021 won't be out until November, so those are coming soon. But data right now seems to suggest that while the pandemic may have slowed Portland's population influx, it hasn't stopped it. The city is growing. And the same can be said for most parts of Oregon. I mean, after all, the people who do leave Portland, and many people are leaving the city of Portland, considering a lot of the things we talk about on the show, the homelessness, the threat of ongoing protests, the potential for a violent police response to those protests, anarchist vandalism, the trash, the graffiti, the uncontrollable rise in shootings, the extremely high cost of living, etc. But those people who leave the city do traditionally stay in the state of Oregon. Stacker published an article today showing where people in Portland, Oregon are moving to most. Now, the data is from 2014 through 2018, but it does show trends. And you should keep those dates in mind, though. And while the list shows that most people who leave Portland head to Seattle, cities number 2, 4, 6, and 7 are all Oregon cities. So collectively, most people who leave Portland do stay in Oregon and certainly stay in the Pacific Northwest. That said, Oregon's growth is slowing down, which may not seem that dramatic because it is still technically growing, but shifts, big ones, happen slowly. I mean, keep in mind, when the 2020 census was complete, Oregon had grown so quickly over the past decade that we got a new congressional seat. And now, less than a year later, North American, one of the country's biggest moving companies, considers Oregon a neutral state in its 2020 migration report, meaning it's not really growing and it's not really shrinking. It's just kind of stagnant. But it is dangerously closer to the latter. If you consider all the moves in and out of Oregon in 2020, 51% were people moving into the state and 49% were people moving out. For context, when Oregon was booming in 2011, it was 61% moving in and 39% moving out. And in April, the Oregon Employment Department found that Oregon's 2020 natural population increase was the lowest on record. Now, that's a combination of a bunch of different factors, but according to their data, they did show a net migration of about 28,600 people. So people are still moving here, just not as many, at least as compared to the people who are leaving. And after a decade of rapid growth, it will be interesting to examine the effects of a rapid slowdown. All that to say, we still have a lot of new people moving here to the state of Oregon, and all of you need to fully understand this issue I'm having with my rug. At this point, I mean, it's going to need at least 2, maybe 3 days of consecutive sunshine, or things are going to start getting funky. And there's no guarantee that I'm going to get that. So to help us kind of understand the change of seasons in the Pacific Northwest and what we should make of the rainy season, let's turn to the chief, Matt Zaffino.